The Super Bowl. Many Americans will argue that this single event brings more people together than any other American pastime. And just like football fans who are preparing their Super Bowl parties, the military-industrial complex is making preparations of their own. This year's spectacle won't be the star-studded halftime show, but rather the outrageously overblown security theater that's being staged in and around the event. According to CBS San Francisco Bay Area News, Super Bowl 50 security is to include F-15 fighter jets and helicopters. Again, that's F-15 jets and helicopters at the Super Bowl. If this seems a little over the top, there's good reason for it. There's much more theatrics here than actual security. In fact, many, if not all, of the security techniques being used at the event have been proven to be ineffectual by up to 95%. And yet they've still elevated their routine to include F-15s. To illustrate the incompetence of the Department of Homeland Security, just look at the testimony given by the Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Screening in the DHS, Kellyanne Barisi.
Ms. Barisi, I've asked you the number of Americans who traveled to Syria, you don't know. The number of Americans who may have traveled and returned, you don't know. The number of Syrian refugees who've entered the country in the last year, you don't know. The number of visa waiver program overstays, you don't know. The number of visa waiver overstays who may have been to Syria before they came here, you don't know. And the number of American citizens on the no-fly list, and you don't know. And yet you are the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Screening Coordination, Office of Policy, Department of Homeland Security in front of the Oversight Committee, and you can't give us one single number to some, I think, pretty basic questions?
Quoting Daily Caller Editor-in-Chief Tucker Carlson from a Fox News appearance, he said,
"These people are not just wrong on the ideas, they're totally incompetent. These are the people who built the Obamacare website. They're not good at the details is part of it. And that's why this whole thing ought to scare us a lot."
And we shouldn't ignore the fact that Homeland Security has absolutely no problem keeping the borders wide open for anyone to cross. Now, these same people are bringing to the Super Bowl what the San Jose Mercury News describes as a veritable Fort Knox for the February 7th game. Metal detectors at every entrance, bomb-sniffing dogs at all train stops, sharpshooters perched on rooftops, and cameras everywhere. The DHS says they will be teaming up with the Air Force to provide air security against, amongst other possible threats, a slow-moving Cessna. Stories have been circulating demonstrating the special training that these pilots are receiving to aid them when intercepting Cessnas or small aircraft. And that's a lot of media coverage for what is normally considered to be routine NORAD defense drills. For decades, the United States airspace has been under the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD's Air Defense Program, who have the task to defend our domestic skies with aircraft, which includes F-15 fighters. Then why make a story out of F-15 training exercises? Well, the reason is as simple as it gets. To put a spotlight on the mighty U.S. military and the domestic Air Force, for all those watching the biggest game of the year to see. Infowars.com has time and time again exposed the fact that the DHS has very little interest in actually keeping anyone secure and a much larger agenda in acclimating the American population to live in a security state. What we'll be witnessing during the game will be nothing short of security theater broadcast during America's most popular sporting event. The DHS, as well as the U.S. military, has a history of paying big money to the NFL to propagandize the U.S. public. Countless articles report the relationship between the DoD and the NFL, including this November 2015 Pittsburgh Post-Gazette report. The DoD paid $53 million of taxpayers' money to pro sports for military tributes. So why does the DoD want to acclimate the public anyway? On Sunday, May 6, 2012, Infowars.com reported that a leaked U.S. Army document prepared for the Department of Defense contains shocking plans for political activists to be pacified by PSYOP officers into developing an appreciation of U.S. policies while detained in prison camps inside the United States. Last July, former General Wesley Clark went on MSNBC and called for disloyal Americans to be put in internment camps. Add this to the fact that Obama, who has chaired Security Council meetings, recently teamed up with the UN to create a global police force to deal with violent extremism. We as Americans are being pushed and shoved into a global system that is outside of the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. And the security state theater is one way the American public is primed for the occasion. As people become more used to seeing the military in their everyday life, the easier it will be for the U.S. to become acclimated into a global system. A system where dissenters get into a military van and are never heard of again. So for those of you who are ready to put your brain into relaxation mode and sink into the big game, your relaxed mind will be unconsciously experiencing a paranoid America who lives under the reckless and unaccountable police state. The DoD wants these security images and emotions to become a normal part of life. As we see, they are willing to pay big money to broadcast this reality during the Super Bowl.